Okay, Will, are you okay with us sharing this recording of your story publicly?
Sure. Yes. Yes, I
Thank
am.
you. Thank you. Can you or anyone that you may mention in your story face legal prosecution or get into trouble for anything that you might share in your story?
No.
Sweet. The floor is yours, my friend. Go ahead and introduce yourself however you want, and let's share it with the world.
So my name is Will Perez, and I'm a recovering addict. Uh, I started using opioid drugs, heroin, in the early 2000s, and my story is kind of impressive because, um, like any normal teenager, I grew up in New York City. I played basketball most of my life. Puerto Rican parents, moved to Puerto Rico in the early 80s. Um, had a good family, a little dysfunctional. My dad was an alcoholic, and he worked, and we had the love there. And my mom was one of those strong Puerto Rican women. And so I'm from four brothers. I'm the middle guy. I got an older brother, a younger brother, and a sister. We all play sports, and so we were involved in sports at an early age in New York, and then we transferred to Puerto Rico. We kept playing sports. My brother played baseball. He got scouted by the Mets in the early 80s and spent 7 years in the minors. I went on to play basketball in Puerto Rico, played all the leagues that you can play in Puerto Rico, um, and also graduated from high school and went to college, university, and so I did very well. Going into my 20s, like everybody else, I smoked weed, marijuana. I started experimenting with cocaine, but I always kept the control. I love the sports a lot. And so one thing I've discovered, at this age now, that um, using drugs is very progressive. Some people say I can do it for a little while and stop or whatever. So I was kind of like on that note at an early age, but as time went by, it started progressing. Soon I found myself in my 20s. And so I remember going back, leaving Puerto Rico, going back to New York City, um, throughout the 80s when the crack cocaine came out in the city. I was there for that, 82, um, experimenting with the crack cocaine. Um, and that was a journey, because that was kind of like what I was in the 80s in New York, and until this drug proved everybody wrong that it's really a crazy drug. Um, and so that didn't go very well in my life. Just hooked on crack cocaine for a while and experimenting with that. Decided to try to get cleaned up. You know, in the mid '80s, still out there. And I remember my mom going to New York and picking me up and taking me back to Puerto Rico, and I stood out there for a couple of years. In Puerto Rico, in the town that I come from, it's a town. It's like 15 minutes away from San Juan. In this town, there's a lot of drugs in this town. It's a lot of drugs, and so it's a town that it's hard to really stay away from associates or friends that are not using. If they're not using, they're either drinking alcohol. So it's very hard to find a couple of group of friends that you can really stay sober or that weren't using. So at that age, I was full of energy, curious, and so little by little, I started like using cocaine again and smoking marijuana, and I kind of like always stood away from the heroin. Uh, After the 80s, 90s, I came back to I came to Buffalo in 92 and 97. I remember that. And in the early 2000s, I started experimenting with heroin. And this was the turning point in my life because heroin is it's a different level of life, for the addict. It takes you to a level that you lose everything. I lost everything. I lost my self-esteem. I lost my family, for a little while there. And, I lost a lot of good people in my life, people that loved me. Um, I just couldn't stop. And I remember I was thinking just before doing this segment here with you, how I started with the heroin. I remember sharing a bag here in Massachusetts, in one of the cities here close to where I'm at, with a female that particular day that particular night wanted to get high. I used to snort it, she used to shoot it. And so we went half on a bag, and I ended up having to shoot it for the first time, and I didn't want to do that. And I ended up doing it, and wow, what a big mistake, because that took me to another level in my life, because I ended up liking it at the time. So, and when I say progressive, that was the beginning of a long journey for me, because it lasted almost 17 years of me being addicted to heroin. Um, you know, I call it the monster, when the monster gets on your back, and so you try to overcome this, and there's no way, dealing with the sickness, dealing with the everyday hustle of trying to get that next fix, just being out there, not caring about your family, not being able to hold a job down, doing whatever you have to do to try to get that money to get that next fix. So, it took me to a lot of, very dramatic moments in my life. It took me to jail. It took me to many arrests and many things that I didn't want to do, stealing, just doing whatever I had to do to get it. So when I say that you lose your self-esteem, that's what I really mean. Your self-esteem goes down the drain. We kind of like just don't care about anything. We kind of like just live for this drug. So like I said, 17 years addicted to heroin. When heroin was heroin, not the fentanyl that's out now, but when heroin was heroin. And I don't know, I come from a good family. My family has Christian backgrounds or whatever, and I always tried to reach out to my higher power to try to get right with this and try to break that cycle. And in the early 2000s, here in Massachusetts, I just kept getting in trouble and in trouble, and I would stay clean for a little while and get in trouble again, and keep using and keep using. I tried to go to school. I always wanted to become a recovery coach. I tried to go to school. Here in Lynn, I signed up in North Shore Community College in 2013 and in 2017. In both of those years, I could not start school because of my addiction. I couldn't put the drugs down. And that was a sad situation for me, because I would brag around to everybody, I'm going to school, I'm going to get it together, this and that. And I just couldn't do it. There's no way. I was telling a friend of mine, I think it was yesterday or today, that I counsel. I was telling him, listen, there's no way you're going to make it in life if you don't put the drugs down. There's no way you can work. There's no way you can hold it down with an apartment. There's no way you can hold it down with your family. You can't give love to your loved ones. There's no way, because if you don't put the drugs down, that's what you live for just the drugs. So that happened to me. I lived that. It's a very sad situation. I lost a lot of weight. My body was deteriorating 3 years ago. I was doing really bad. And so when I say that God works in mysterious ways, I got arrested 2 years ago. And that's in my story. I ended up getting up really sick, and remember, I woke up with some crack cocaine from the prior night. And I went downstairs and tried to make a sale to someone to try to get money to buy heroin. And I ended up selling to 2 undercover cops here in the city of Lynn. So, and that really changed my life, because this was the turning point. I didn't know what was going to happen. I said, I'm going to jail. I'm too old for this shit. I'm going to jail. I don't want to lose my apartment. My loved ones are going to be mad at me again. Just a whole scenario. And by the grace of God, I just, still to this day, I don't understand what happened, but something good happened. You know, my son popped up, he bailed me out. Um, I was on probation at the time, and that probation got extended. I didn't get violated. And one thing led to the other, but not bad things, but kind of like a sequence of sort of, you know, good things, you know, in a way. But I wasn't going to jail. That's the whole thing. So anyways, I was offered to participate in a community corrections program here in Lynn, which is a great program. And this is for offenders that are drug users. And, you know, I would say 80% of the people here in Massachusetts are offered that use drugs and have drug offending cases are offered this program instead of jail. And so from what the statistics say, 50% of them reoffend, but the other half go on and continue to do good. So I was one of those that I entered this program here in Lynn, and you know, I just got it together. I just got it together. Went in with a positive attitude because I didn't want to go to jail. I didn't want to lose my apartment. So this is the thing about, and you know, and I'm grateful for these people giving me the chance, because sometimes that's all we need in life. We need a chance, you know. And there's a lot of people that are not willing to give the addict a chance out there, and sometimes the addict just needs a chance to make it. You know what I mean? So I was given that chance, and I didn't lose my apartment. By the grace of God, I finished the program. This program offers counseling. This program offers groups, you know, 7 days a week. You have to call in for your color code. You have to do community service. You know, with the pandemic coming out, we didn't have to do community service, but we did the groups virtually through Zoom. And so one thing led to the other. I kept participating. I kept doing the right thing, you know, clicking with the clinicians, just being involved, speaking up, not staying shut, getting involved in all and everything that community corrections had to offer. And so they have a clinician who also is a job developer, and she's constantly offering jobs to all the participants of this programs, like construction jobs, you know, career jobs. North Shore Community College goes there also and does workshops and offers courses that you may want to take or whatever. So this program not only gives you structure, it offers opportunities for the participants. And I embraced that. You know, I was able to see the recovery coach program, which I always wanted to become a recovery coach. I always wanted to work helping other addicts, but I wanted to get clean myself and do good myself first. And so this was my chance, and that's what I did. And by the grace of God, I was there 18 months. I finished it up. I was able to go to school through North Shore Community College virtually for about 5 or 6 months and do this recovery coach course and get my both certifications. There's 2 certifications, part 1 and part 2. And I was able to do that. And wow, it was mind blowing. I loved it. And I started seeing myself rehabilitating myself within this program and giving myself some structure. And, you know, everybody there was content. I went from just being a regular participant in the program to becoming a role model for some of the guys that were there. Not being cocky, just being humble. Like I always try to keep it humble. And on the contrary, helping whoever needed help within the program. So we kind of like bonded. A lot of us bonded there. I seen guys go and come because everybody does different sentences there. But and so mine was 18 months. But like I said, I flew by this 18 months and it went well. I was able to graduate. Everybody there's content and very happy with me. And like I've said before in my other story, you know, I'm very grateful to Community Corrections for giving me this opportunity. So when I say that getting arrested this last time was a blessing, I think it was. It was a blessing because sometimes we don't see the bigger picture, but now I'm able to see the bigger picture. Now I'm clean. I've been clean for 2 years. I work for Lynn Community Health Center in the city of Lynn, Massachusetts, health center, and so as a recovery coach, and I help addicts and alcoholics on a daily basis. You know, whether it be counseling them, you know, daily or once a week or twice a week. I take them to AA meetings, NA meetings, which I participate from them myself, and I benefit from them myself. I'm able to help whoever reaches out to me for detoxes and TCS programs, you know, to stay clean and sober. So, wow, you know, like I say, the sky's the limit in terms of wanting to make it in life and, you know, wanting to get clean and sober. And not only that, being able to give back to the community, which I so much love. I have a lot of friends here in Lynn that I know who are addicts, and now I have the opportunity to work with a lot of them on a daily basis here in the city, where I ran the streets and did use drugs, you know, used heroin. So I'm very grateful for that, for community corrections. And also I can't leave out my church because, you know, in NA we talk about the big book, and we talk about a spiritual awakening, and we talk about, you know, my mind being restored by a higher power. And so I'm very spiritual. I believe in God Almighty. I believe in Jesus Christ. So and that brought me back to sanity. And so I've been, by the grace of God, congregating at my church for 2 years also. I can't leave that out. That's very important. And that's sort of like the foundation of my recovery right now. You know, I congregate 3 times a week. My pastor's a great guy. He's in recovery himself. He was out there, you know, he has a story too. He was saved by the grace of God. He's been pastoring for 25 years, almost 30 years. Great guy. Wow. And so there we are fighting the battle in that church too. You know, 3 times a week, you know, Wednesdays, Fridays, and Sunday, which is the big service, just preaching the word of God and you know, and just doing the right thing, just being a normal human being, giving out love to others, you know, being humble and you know, and cherishing the word of God Almighty. So I always say with community corrections and my church, my spiritual life, that's what's been holding me down in 2021 going forward, for these past almost 3 years. And I've been blessed. I got my car back. I have a car now. You know, I drive a Toyota Camry 2012, nice little car. I got a good job, career job. I got my license back. I got my family back. My daughters love me. My son loves me. You know, I'm doing very well. All my family's very happy where I'm at right now. I got my weight back. I just, you know, I feel so grateful and so humble, and that's why I do these sessions, because I want, you know, the people that know me out there to understand that it's possible. It's possible to get cleaned up. It's possible to make it in life. You know, you just got to give yourself a chance. Like I always say, there's programs, lots of programs, and lots of people who are willing to give you that help that you so much seek. And so, yeah, that's basically my story. And going forward, I start school now in September for drug and alcohol counseling. I'm going for my associates slowly, but I'm doing it, you know, 2 classes here, 3. So, but the thing is to keep going forward, and because I wanna just keep going in this field, in this area. Like I say, the sky's the limit, and so that's what I want to do now. I finally made up my mind. I want to work hard as a recovery coach, as a person that's going to advocate in the community for the addicts and the alcoholics, and let them know the message that there is hope at the end of the tunnel. And if you give yourself a chance, that you can make it in life. If you give yourself a chance, you can make it. It doesn't have to end on a sad chapter. I'm a pure example of that, and so that's why constantly I want to share my story and let my story be heard. So I think I'm all set. Will, I'm gonna close with this. I'm gonna close with this. I mean, I'm so happy that things are going the way they are, and sometimes I just don't believe in myself. I really don't. But I mean, like I said, I see the bigger picture now, and this is just the beginning. There's a lot of work to do. In my job, we had a meeting today, a lot of the recovery coaches and my supervisor. And so we have a lot of plans of a lot of work. We want to do outreach work. We're going to do in the community, um, to show the people out there that there's hope. There really is hope. We just gotta, and we have to help them. You know what I mean? Uh, the ones that step up to the plate and been there and have that lived experience are the best ones that can help the other person. So that's basically what we want to do, and that's the message that we're sending out there to everyone right now.